I am quite sure that Jesus did not mean to insult his family when he said that he was, or when he said what he supposedly said in our gospel reading today. I am also sure that he later went out of the house in order to kiss and greet them, or at least say hello, especially to his mother. I am more inclined to think that Jesus said what he said. These are my brothers and my sisters and my mother. I think he said this to warm the hearts of his disciples and to teach them precisely to regard each other as brothers and sisters if they are to call God their Father. Siguro dito galing the practice of calling each other, oy brother, sister, in parishes. Si brother so-and-so at si sister so-and-so. That it was what he expected to be the natural consequence of growing in discipleship. Namely, that we learn to open our hearts and our homes to other people. That we learn to share the love and the care that we have received from our families, even to those who are not our blood relatives. Familiar tayo dun sa kasabihan, charity begins at home. Totoo ba yun? Of course, it is true. The home is our very first school for charity. It is our first school for what we call in Tagalog, pagpapakatao, becoming human. I don't think any one of us will learn to behave like proper human beings if we have not been nurtured or raised in a proper family. It is in the family that we learn to love unconditionally. Look, we all received free board and lodging, free babysitting, free education, free health care from our families. If the best things in life are free, family is most certainly one of those best things. In America, most families take it for granted that the parents' obligation to their children ay hanggang high school lang. Most of the children, after high school, bahala na sila sa buhay nila if they want to go to college. They have to support themselves. Sa Pilipinas, hindi. Kung minsan nga, may pamilya na, sinusuportahan pa. We have learned to love because we have been loved. It is in family that we have learned to develop a sense of meaning and purpose because we saw it in our own parents. Pero walang duda, wala namang pamilyang perfect. Meron ding mga tipong dysfunctional families. And do we not hear of horrible stories of abuse, even in the context of family? The wisdom of Jesus is when he uses precisely the model of family and expands it to include the rest of humankind by saying, ultimately, lahat tayo'y anak ng iisang magulang, the Father. And he goes even beyond humankind to suggest that family should also include other fellow creatures because the earth is our common home. Kaya meron tayong mga santong katulad ni Saint Francis of Assisi who taught us to relate not just with fellow human beings as brothers and sisters, but also with brother sun and sister moon, brother wind and sister air. Charity does indeed begin at home, but it does not and should not end at home. That is, if what we learned at home is genuine charity, it will overflow. It will go beyond borders and boundaries, even of blood relationships. Nauso ang pantries. Did you know that yung pantries are a home concept? When we open a pantry and make them accessible to the poor, to people who are not our blood relatives, I assure you, it means our humanity is growing. And this is what Jesus is trying to teach us. Ang mga pamilya natin, they are schools. If our humanity gets stunted and we limit charity only to our blood relations, it could only mean the family has failed. Alam natin yung kasabihan, blood is thicker than water. And we know what it means. Blood is thicker than water. I used to be auxiliary bishop of the Archdiocese of San Fernando, Pampanga. And when I was still working with the now retired Archbishop, whom we fondly call Aposeto, I remember he loved to say in his homilies, "No, water is thicker than blood." Binaliktad niya. And by water, he means the water of baptism, which expands our blood relations. Sabi niya, we have been washed by the blood of Christ. Magkakadugo na rin tayo because of the blood of Christ. The Gospel of John tells us when Jesus expired and his side was pierced by a soldier's lance, blood and water flowed out from his wounded side. This was the gospel writer's way of saying, that is how the church, the new Eve, was born. Hindi ba si Eve was pulled out of the side of Adam? Well, John is suggesting that the new Eve is the church who is being pulled out from the side of the new Adam, who is Jesus. The church is being pulled out. She is now the mother of all who have been washed by the blood and water that flowed out from the side of the new Adam as he slept the sleep of death. He is the Son of God who died so that he could share his divine life to all of us, so that we could all become part of God's family.